the champion now, undefeated for a long time. So what about undisputed versus undisputed? And they said one word. They said one thing. I love it.
Wow.
Okay. Let's do it. So they started talking to Alexander about the whole idea. He loved the idea. So they made it work. And now we're here.
Would it be fair to say that the idea of fighting Usyk, given who he is and his current resume, interested you more than AJ?
100%.
Yeah.
The fight versus Anthony Joshua was also super exciting, but he's like a totally different fighter.
Sure.
And Alexander Usyk is the Rico Verhoeven in boxing.
Yeah.
So like he's been dominating for so long and in such phenomenal fashion. So I was like, wow, if we could do this,
than a sport.
I think Usyk's probably going to wash Rico, but hey, you never know. Francis walked in there, knocked down Tyson, jiggled his balls in his face, and ended up almost beating him. So yeah, I'll watch this. It's an entertainment fight. It's a crossover fight. And while I think that Alexander Usyk has bigger fish to fry in the heavyweight division, when KBL is a mandatory, I thought, for Alexander Usyk, there is, for other sanctioning bodies like the WBO, you have Fabio Wardley and Daniel Dubois. You have that fight about to happen, so the winner of that is going to, I thought, fight Usyk. And then you have Tyson Fury waiting in the wings. There's Moses Italma waiting in the wings. There's a lot of odd stuff happening here with the sanctioning bodies. And I'm going to tell you this now. This is what leaves a sour taste in my mouth. They already are digging their own graves with stuff like this. They are. They are digging their own graves, because the more they do stuff like this, Rico Verhoeven, no reason, no business he should be fighting for a heavyweight championship in boxing. Yes, in kickboxing, very different. Him coming over and fighting for this, and essentially his second boxing match. Rico fought a guy named Janos Finfera and knocked him out cold. I mean, like I said, it's a crossover fight. If you want to say, like, look at what all Usyk has done for the heavyweight division. He fought the best of the best. He ran laps around the division, so he deserves a fun fight. That's fine. I don't really have any problem with that. I didn't have a problem with watching Tyson Fury and Francis Ngannou. I said, you know what? I'm excited for the fight. I'll watch the fight. I'm excited.
And I kind of see the argument for that. But I'm not saying I like it. I kind of see the argument for it. Tyson Fury had one, didn't he? Tyson Fury had a knock against Francis Ngannou as a heavyweight champion. So I don't see much difference between that and this, although that got critiqued as well. AJ, I guess, had one against Jake Paul. Again, I didn't see... I mean, people were complaining, but he still went and did it. So, look, Alexander Usyk has entertained me for, nearly a decade. And I always find it difficult, and I think I said this before in a video, I find it difficult to say anything negative about Alexander Usyk. Anything negative at all. Would I like him to stay more busy? Yes. Would I like him to fight the next man up? Absolutely. But I don't think I'm going to crucify him for doing this. I don't. Maybe I should, and I think a lot of you guys in the comment section, look, again, feel free to leave a comment and tell me what you think. I think a lot of you might crucify him for doing it. But when someone has become undisputed heavyweight champion of the world twice, cruiserweight champion, Olympic gold medalist, world championship gold medalist, you can have one. You can have one. And then we'll see if he falls back into the routine of fighting the next man up. Again, look, let me not pretend I'm not disappointed it's not Agit Kabayel, but as soon as I started hearing whispers about Agit Kabayel having another fight in Germany and it not being Usyk, I was already kind of making my mind that Usyk was going to go down this route. Again, AJ was going to go down this route. Rico doesn't have a chance in hell, does he? If we're being brutally honest there, like, he's taken on, I mean, Alexander Usyk is God.
The boxing world just lost its mind. Usyk versus Rico Verhoeven is actually happening, and it's for a real WBA heavyweight title, not an exhibition, not a fun fight, a sanctioned championship bout.
Will be defending his WBA title versus a kickboxer, Rico Verhoeven, in May 23rd, I believe, in Egypt at the Pyramids. Now, we've had a history. It's an entertainment business, right? And I know there'll be people that gonna say that, you know, they're gonna be pros and cons about it. My feeling is, look, Usyk has earned the right to take a one-off, if you want to call it that. And just like everyone else is taking a shot at doing that, he's earned the right. He's fought everybody. And he has put himself now into that status where he can be called one of the great heavyweights of all time. He's earned that. He's fought everyone. Olympic gold.
Here's what nobody's telling you about this fight. Verhoeven turned down Anthony Joshua to face the undisputed champion instead. His exact words, "Champions should fight champions." That's either brilliant or completely insane.
I think what makes this a little bit different to me is that the WBA is sanctioning it as a title defense for Usyk. That makes it a little bit different. There's going to be some people who are going to say, well, that, you know, it's not fair to some of the heavyweights out there, professional heavyweights that are not kickboxers, that are heavyweights, professional boxers, and they deserve a shot for a guy who's a kickboxer and who has had one professional boxing match. He's 1-0 against the guy that, who knows. But, so I can understand that, but I can't get mad at Usyk with the way that he's conducted his career in and out of the ring. And as I said, he's fought everybody. But I do understand that the WBA that's a little different, that they're allowing it to be for...
But get this, they're doing it in front of the pyramids in Egypt. This isn't just a fight anymore. It's a full-blown spectacle designed to break the internet. And honestly, it's working. Everyone's talking about it.
This is, to me, I understand if you're a boxing fan, this is why on earth would you care about this? But as someone who comes from the more MMA side, and kickboxing is closer to MMA as a community, as a culture, than it is the boxing side of things. I'm not saying that kickboxing is not closer to boxing in terms of the techniques used as a sport. It's in a ring, there's similar kinds of gloves, you know, there's no takedowns, blah, 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 but culturally, kickboxing is closer to MMA, which is why I think you're seeing some of this split reaction, but I don't really mind it as a fight. I don't have a strong reaction one way or the other. It's gonna be what it's gonna be. But we should talk about this for a second. First of all, Alexander Usyk, 39. The last time he fought, I think it was July of 2025 when he beat Dubois in the rematch. Rico, I'm not gonna sit here and pretend that I've been following closely his glory career. I've seen obviously some of the bigger fights he's been in, Badr Hari. You know, obviously he fought Errol Zimmerman.
Now here's where it gets wild. Wade Plemons called this exactly what it is, entertainment-driven boxing. He admits fans will watch regardless of the criticism, but he's leaning heavy toward Usyk destroying Verhoeven.
Really big names up and down, and has obviously an incredible career, but I can't pretend that I've been following it closely. 36 years old. What is interesting about this is that you'll recall the UFC wanted to sign him and he wanted to go box instead. Well, this is what that is. I don't know what the UFC offered him. Surely it cannot be what Turkey is offering him. And I gotta say, you know, for Usyk, he gets something of an easy payday. For Verhoeven, he gets a payday off of a fight against an opponent that I would have thought he never would have gotten. I mean, if your choice is fighting Usyk for what I'm going to guess could be a 7 or 8 figure payday, depending on how this goes, you know, or a fraction of that against some kind of UFC heavyweight before you even get a title shot.
That's it for today's.
And look, I get it. Verhoeven has zero professional boxing experience. He's stepping into completely unfamiliar territory against arguably the greatest heavyweight on the planet right now. The skill gap is massive. But remember what happened when Francis Ngannou dropped Tyson Fury. Nobody saw that coming. Crossover fights create chaos, and chaos creates upsets. Verhoeven's got size, power, and absolutely nothing to lose. Here's what's really bothering people, though. Teddy Atlas dropped the truth bomb. This is sanctioned as a title defense. That means real contenders like Fabio Wardley and Daniel Dubois are getting skipped over for a kickboxer. Aledola Idioti put it perfectly. Usyk is operating on a different level than everyone else. He's already cemented his legacy. Olympic gold, undisputed cruiserweight champion, conquered heavyweight. The man's earned the right to take easy money. Luke Thomas brought up something interesting. He doesn't need to see Usyk fight Wilder, Fury, or Joshua again. We've seen those fights. This crossover brings something fresh to a division that's honestly getting stale. But here's the kicker. Usyk is 39 years old. How many more fights does he realistically have left? Is he wasting one on a spectacle fight when he could be cementing his legacy against elite competition? The financial angle makes perfect sense, though. Easy payday for Usyk, career-defining opportunity for Verhoeven, and global exposure in Egypt. Everyone wins except the hardcore boxing purists who are absolutely losing their minds right now. So here's my question for you. Is this everything wrong with modern boxing, or exactly what the sport needs to stay relevant? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because this fight is splitting the combat sports world right down the middle. Smash that like button if this breakdown opened your eyes. Subscribe for more boxing chaos, and hit the bell because this division is about to get even weirder. And speaking of getting weirder, let me tell you something that's flying under the radar. The WBA is catching massive heat for sanctioning this, but they're not stupid. They know exactly what they're doing. This fight is going to generate more global attention than any traditional heavyweight matchup this year. Think about it. When was the last time a heavyweight title fight had people from kickboxing, MMA, and boxing all arguing in the same comment sections? Conor McGregor versus Floyd Mayweather. That's the level of crossover appeal we're talking about here. But here's what's really genius about Verhoeven's strategy. He's not trying to outbox Usyk. That would be suicide. His only path to victory is turning this into a phone booth fight, using his size and power to rough up the smaller champion. One clean shot changes everything. The timing couldn't be more perfect either. Boxing is desperate for mainstream attention. UFC is dominating the combat sports conversation, and traditional boxing matches aren't breaking through to casual fans anymore. This Egyptian spectacle might be exactly the shot in the arm the sport needs. Here's what nobody's mentioning, though. Verhoeven has been training with elite boxing coaches for months. He's not walking and they're completely blind. The man's a world-class athlete who's been studying Usyk's footwork and counterpunching patterns obsessively. And let's be real about something else. Usyk looked human against Fury. He got dropped, he got hurt, and he showed he's not invincible. If Tyson Fury can find success with size and pressure, what's stopping a motivated kickboxer from doing the same thing?